Thomas gets coached. Thomas was in a bad mood after Sir Topham Hatt found out that Thomas had shunted 12 coaches to Gordon's train. He punished him by making him shunt freight cars at Knapford Yards, much to the annoyance of the blue tank engine. "It's not fair," he said one morning. "I'm stuck in the yard shunting freight cars all day while Gordon gets all the attention on the island." Toby was passing through with Annie, Clarabelle, and Henrietta when he heard Thomas ranting. "Please don't be upset," he said. "I'm sure Gordon isn't feeling any better right now." And Toby was right. Gordon was feeling very sorry for himself. As much as he liked the positive comments from the other engines, he wasn't too happy about it. He had stopped boasting about being the strongest engine and tried to focus on his job of pulling the express, but he found it very difficult to do so. Back at the yard, Thomas was resting in a siding. He was still thinking about Gordon when he got an idea. "I'll do it when Sir Topham Hatt allows me to pull passengers again," he thought to himself. A few days later, Thomas was back on his branch line pulling Annie and Clarabelle. He felt very happy indeed, not because he got his old job back, but because he could now carry out his plan to prove to Gordon that he wasn't the only engine that could pull long passenger trains. After Thomas had finished with all his jobs, he raced back to Knapford as quickly as he could. "I'll show Gordon," he puffed to himself. When Thomas arrived at Knapford Station, he was feeling very confident. Then he saw Gordon waiting at the platform for Percy to bring him his coaches. Thomas chuckled as he set off for the yard. Similar to his plan with Gordon, Thomas gathered all the branch line coaches he could find and shunted them behind Annie and Clarabelle. Soon, Thomas had a long line of 16 coaches behind him, including Annie and Clarabelle, who were very irritated by Thomas's plan. "I've got a bad feeling about this," said Annie. "So do I," replied Clarabelle. Thomas grew more and more determined as Gordon started to puff away with the express. Thomas gave a great heave. One by one, the empty coaches started to move. Thomas proudly pulled out of Knapford Yards, leaving behind a very surprised Gordon. Thomas puffed along the track towards Vickerstown. "This won't end well, this won't end well," grumbled the coaches. Then there was trouble. One of the couplings snapped. Up ahead, Eagle was taking some empty freight cars to the quarry. Thomas chuffed by. Eagle started to blow his whistle. Thomas thought Eagle was praising him for pulling 16 coaches, but Eagle was whistling because the last 4 coaches were rolling towards the level crossing. They crashed into the gates and came off the tracks right in front of Eagle. The level crossing was blocked. But Thomas didn't know. He puffed happily on. Then another coupling snapped. Thomas passed Diesel in a siding. Diesel was waiting to roll onto the main line. The points changed. Diesel started to toot his horn. Thomas thought he was cheering for him, but Diesel was tooting because 4 more coaches were now rolling towards him. The coaches bashed straight into Diesel and scattered all over the tracks. Diesel was stuck, but Thomas didn't know. He puffed proudly along. The fastest way to Vickerstown was to puff over Gordon's Hill. Thomas's axles tingled and his wheels trembled. Then there was trouble. Just as he was coming down the hill, another coupling snapped. Ahead, Donald and Douglas were waiting at a signal with a goods train when Thomas puffed past. Donald and Douglas blew their whistles loudly. Thomas assumed that they were cheering for him, but the twins were whistling because 4 more coaches were now heading towards them. Luckily, a nearby signalman changed the points just in time. The coaches rolled into a siding and bumped into the buffers. But Thomas didn't know. He puffed on, feeling very pleased with himself. Thomas approached Vickerstown Station. Then another coupling snapped. Gordon was sitting at the station platform with the express, ready for his return journey to Knapford. Thomas stopped alongside him. "Hello, Gordon! Look at how many coaches I'm pulling!" Thomas puffed proudly. Suddenly, Gordon blew his whistle loud and long. "Look out, Thomas!" he cried, but it was too late. The last 4 coaches crashed into the back of Thomas. "Oh, no!" said Gordon. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Thomas. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the station was in a terrible mess, and Thomas knew it was all his fault. Soon Sir Topham Hatt arrived and spoke severely to Thomas. "Thomas, you have caused a great deal of confusion and delay. Why did you take so many coaches?" "Because I was jealous," said Thomas sadly. "Why were you jealous?" asked Sir Topham Hatt. "I was jealous because Gordon got so much attention after pulling 12 coaches to Vickerstown. I wanted to prove that I could pull more coaches than him." Gordon felt bad for Thomas. "Listen, Thomas, I shouldn't have bragged to the other engines that I was Sodor's strongest engine, but that didn't mean you had to try to get all the attention yourself." Thomas felt very silly. "I know that now, Gordon. I'm sorry I was jealous." "It's all right, Thomas," replied Gordon. "I forgive you." Thomas felt better, but Sir Topham Hatt had more to say. "Thomas, it was brave of you for admitting to your mistake and apologizing to Gordon, but that doesn't mean you won't be punished. You will be shunting freight cars in the yard for the next month." "Yes, sir," replied Thomas, and Sir Topham Hatt left. Although Thomas felt better for owning up and apologizing to Gordon, he still felt terrible for the mess he had made. Gordon could see that Thomas was upset. "If it makes you feel any better, may I help you clean up this mess?" he asked. Thomas looked at Gordon. "That would be nice," he said sadly. "And may I help you with your shunting for the next month?" Gordon asked. Thomas was surprised. Gordon didn't usually like shunting. "Are you sure?" asked Thomas. "Of course I'm sure," said Gordon. "Remember the alliance we have? You help me and I help you." Thomas was delighted. "Thank you, Gordon." After they put all the coaches back on the tracks, Thomas and Gordon spent the next month shunting freight cars in the yard together. Sir Topham Hatt made arrangements for other engines to take their trains, and he was very impressed with Gordon for helping Thomas, even though he knew Gordon would do anything to get out of shunting. One evening at Tidmouth Sheds, Thomas and Gordon were just getting ready for a good night's sleep when Thomas spoke up. "Gordon, thanks again for helping me shunt in the yard this past month. I'm sorry again for being jealous of you." "And I'm sorry for making you jealous," replied Gordon. "We might not be the strongest engines on Sodor, but that doesn't mean we can't be the friendliest." And Thomas happily agreed.